lifetime people want to live, right? Some people say, well, it was created. Whether it was created or not, however it came about to be. The reality of the matter is here, and people are getting sick and dying. So the question is, what are we going to do? Are we going to be obedient to the Heavenly Father, or are we going to be disobedient, right? Okay. Verse 10. Did you read verse 10?
For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
Oh, see that? So if the Gentiles created COVID-19, read that again.
For they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure, but he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness.
See that? So they, we know who the they is. We're talking about the they being the fathers after the flesh. Okay? In verse 10, he says, for they verily for a few days chasten us after, verse 9, wasn't it?
10.
Furthermore, we had fathers of our flesh, right? Which corrected us, and we gave them reverence, okay? But now, verse 10 says, for they verily for a few days chasten us after their own pleasure. But he for our profit, that we might be partakers of his holiness. All right, go ahead, verse 11.
Now no chastening for the present seemeth to be joyous, but grievous. Nevertheless, afterward it yieldeth the peaceable fruit of righteousness unto them which are exercised thereby. Wherefore lift up the hands which hang down, and the feeble knees, and make straight paths for your feet, lest that which is lame be turned out the way, but let it rather be healed. Follow peace with all men, and holiness without which no man shall see Yah.
That's good. So that's what the Most High is saying, right? Follow peace. Now, the earnest expectation we just read in Romans of the creature is waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Yah. What the creature's not waiting for is another religion, right? Many people, have come from Christianity and now are Hebrewists. They don't have no power. They don't have no authority, right? All they have is the appearance of Israel without the priesthood. Priests don't beat people over the head. Priests teach people. True. Priests, the Most High said, with loving kindness he draws, right? We were steeped in falsehood and lies and deception for all of our life, and now we got the truth. Now we want to just beat people over the head, condemn them to hell. White man can't be saved. So let's go back, all right? Now, let's go back to Abraham. Let's go back to Genesis, all right? Let's see. Let's go to Genesis chapter. Let's go to Genesis chapter 12. All right, Genesis chapter 12. Hallelujah. We're going to start at verse 1. This lesson is part 2 of Abraham, the father of nations, not the father of Hebrew nations. But the father of nations. Okay. All right. Genesis chapter 12, verse 1. Go ahead.
Now Yah had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed. So Abram departed as Yah had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. And Abram took Sarah his wife, and Lot his brother's son, and all their substance that they had gathered, and the souls that they had gotten in Haran, and they went forth to go into the land of Canaan, and into the land of Canaan they came.
Okay, good. Now, so the Most High said to Abraham, right? He said, told him to get out from his kindred, right? Now, what's not understood is why did the Most High tell Abraham to get out from his kindred, right? So now I want to read a little bit. Do you have the book of Jasher? You can take this one here and read it. Let's see. This is the book of Jasher, right? And you can get it in the book of Jubilees. That's once you pick a place there, just start reading. We're going to show you what happened in the kingdom of, now, while she's getting that, Abraham came from Ur of the Chaldees, which is the land of Kuwait or Kuwait, southernmost portion of Iraq or Babylon, which is, now I was trying to get this video software together so I could show y'all the maps, brothers and sisters. The maps don't lie. Ur of the Chaldees is way down at the bottom, right? You talk about the bottom, you can go to any city and they say the bottom, you know where the bottom is, right? Where nobody else want to be. The bottom, right? He came from the bottom of the country and across way from the, not the Saharan, the Arabian desert. Okay, we covered last week in the Arabian desert, the sons of Shem. And man, I wanted to show you this map so bad, but next spot, prayerfully, I have everything to where I can show you the graphics, because I got to show you the graphic because it helps. The picture's worth 1,000 words. You see these pictures, you can be like, brother, you ain't got to say nothing. I can look at the maps and see it. But to understand what Abraham looked like and who he grew up around, you got to understand the land of Ur, right? Now, the land of Ur and the land of Abraham's father, Terah, his father, Peleg, I think it was, and going back, right? They all lived in the land of Ethiopia, east Ethiopia. Now, my issue is looking that up, but I want to keep talking because this week I did a lot of reading, and I went back and revisited the book from Rudolph Windsor. And he talked about Ethiopia had an east side and a west side. The east side on the other side of the the Sea of Reeds, or what we call the Red Sea, or the Great River of Egypt. I'm sorry, not the Great River. The Great River is the Nile. The Great River of Egypt, the Nile, which spills into the Red Sea, which is both one and the same, but that's another lesson. But the River Nile and the Red Sea are one and the same, which are the same river that came out of the Garden of Eden. But that's another lesson. I will go there, all right? But if you look at what Rudolph Windsor was saying, he said that the land that the sons of Shem, Abraham's father's people, dwelled in the land of Ethiopia, East Ethiopia, which is the land, that whole land, including, y'all not going to talk to me, the whole land, including the Mesopotamia, was called the land of Ethiopia. That's what he said, and that's what the maps show. And according to Genesis chapter 10, we can go there, but we don't have to, because we already covered this already in another lesson. Nimrod, Cush, which his name is Ethiopia, begat Nimrod, and Nimrod became the hunter, the ruler of the whole land, which included the land of Ur of the Chaldees. Hamites, which we covered last week, according to Zondervan's Bible Dictionary, was the father of the dark race of people, but not the Negroes. Okay? Now, so overstanding that, Ur of the Chaldees is way down at the bottom across in eastern Ethiopia that has been labeled Saudi Arabia. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. If you actually research the word Saudi and Arabia, it just means the land is mixed with people, different tribes mixed. That's what Arab means, a mix. Mixing of the various different sons of Shem and some of the sons of Ham to cause them to be a mongrel race or Arab mixture, right? So Abraham came from the land of Ethiopia. Let's call it what it is. Okay? Later on, after Ethiopia had lost its power, then it became known as Arabia or Saudi Arabia, or the Aram Nahar Ra'im, the land between the rivers. And then later on in history, after, and you can get this, the last 2 million years talks about it, and in another reference book talks about how that the Babylonians lost their power. And when the Babylonians lost their power, that's when the Aramites, known as the Aramites, and the Asherites, known as the Assyrians, and the Syrians became now the power of that area, because the Ethiopians, under the rulership of Nimrod, who was an Ethiopian, y'all ain't gonna talk to me. After he lost his power, Aram and Asher became the world ruler in that region that became known later as Babylon. Okay? Now, you got a good place to start reading for me over there? So we're reading in the book of Jasher. Let me know where you are. For those of you that have the book of Jasher, we're going to be reading out of the book of Jasher. All right?
I'm sure we're going to start.
Okay. Start right there where it talks about Nimrod. What verse is that?
8. Chapter 8, verse 1.
Okay. The book of Yashar or Jasher, chapter 8, verse what?
1.
Verse 1. Okay, go ahead.
And it was in the night that Abram was born that all the servants of Terah and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah. Mm-hmm. And they rejoiced with him on that night. Mm-hmm. And when all the wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, mm-hmm. they lifted up their eyes toward heaven mm-hmm. that night to look at the stars, and they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and it swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of the heavens. And all the wise men of the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight, and the sages understood this matter, and they knew its import. And they said to each other, "This only betokens that the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever, and he and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands."
Let's stop there. Did y'all hear that? Nimrod, the Ethiopian, had a dream. Was it a dream? Was it a dream or a vision?
They went out and they saw the stars.
So the astrologers, what do you call them? The oracles of Chaldea. The Chaldean oracles, but they are actually the prophets of the religion of the pagan worship of Marduk, which was a Babylonian deity. Okay, so the soothsayers told him that the son was the son of Terah, was grandson of the Nahar, I think it was. It's Terah. So many names sometimes I get them. But he saw the dream that he was going to read that verse again.
They lifted up their eyes toward heaven that night and to look at the stars, and they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east and ran in the heavens, and he swallowed up the 4 stars from the 4 sides of heavens. And all the wise men and the king and his conjurers were astonished at the sight of the sages. Understood this matter, and they knew its import.
No, then you missed the part. I wanted about the sons, how the sons of Abraham is going to be raised up, and then the sons of Abraham is going to basically, it connects with the prophecy that where the Most High said, he said, Israel is my battle axe. And with Israel, will I break to pieces the nations, right? That's what the astrologers brought to Nimrod about Abraham. You see it now?
Well, they talked about him growing up and being fruitful.
Yeah.
This only betokens that the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and will possess all the earth, he and his children forever.
There you go.
And he and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their land.
That's it. See that? He and his seed will slay great kings and do what?
Inherit their lands.
And inherit their lands. See that? That's why they hate you Negroes. That's why they hate you African Americans, because they know that you are the seed of Abraham, and that according to prophecies, you're going to wreak havoc over the nations, and you're going to possess their lands. So all this that they built during 1,000 years, it's going to be yours for the asking. Read that one more time, because somebody didn't hear it. One more time. This, what verse was that again?
4.
8 and 4. Jasher, write it down. Jasher, the book of Jasher, chapter 8, verse 4. Okay, go ahead.
And they said to each other, "This only betokens the child that has been born to Terah this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever. He and his seed will slay great kings and inherit their lands."
Will slay great kings and not have their land destroyed. See, we want America to be destroyed. That is the most wickedest doctrine I've ever heard of. The earth is Yah's. Why would he want to destroy the earth he created? So for America to be destroyed is the most idiocentric, dodo brainiatic ideal that I've ever heard of. America's going to be destroyed. Only a hateful Israelite would teach that, because they hate the white man. That's why they can't see the white man being a Gentile versus them being Esau, because they hate the white man. They want the white man dead. Yah is not a racist. When we were in the land of Ethiopia, aka Babylon, Egypt, these were black people that was oppressing us and enslaving us, and in many cases killing us. Okay? Now we're in the times of the Gentiles, where the same thing happened in the beginning. The Most High speaks the end from the beginning. The people at the end is doing the same thing that the people in the beginning did. That's how we know. What they did in the beginning was what brought forth the birth of the nation of Israel first. And so what they're doing now is what's bringing forth the rebirth of the nation of Yasharal. Right? So we can't be haters of the nations, because we were called to be what? A kingdom of priests and a nation, a holy nation to the other nations. But we stuck on stupid. We got prejudice in our hearts. We got hatred in our hearts. Okay, if you have a preference, that's one thing, but you can't be prejudiced and a racist and be a priest. They don't work together. Yah hates sin. Okay? He's not a racist. Now, he might have some favoritism. Pick a people to well, they call that racism when you put a people. The Most High said, we read that in the beginning of this lesson in Exodus 19. He said, I will make you above. Right? So now the Most High is trying to get us back to being above. But no, we want to be beneath. Shabbat shalom, Akoti Pat. Okay, go ahead back to the book of Joshua. So what, chapter 8, verse what?
5.
Verse 5. All right, go ahead.
And the wise men and conjurers went home that night, and in the morning all these wise men and conjurers rose up early and assembled in an appointed house. And they spoke and said to each other, Behold, the sight that we saw last night is hidden from the king. Mm-hmm. It is not made known to him. And should this thing get known to the king in the latter days, he will say to us, Why have you concealed this matter from me? And then we shall all suffer death. Therefore now let us go and tell the king the sight which we saw and the interpretation thereof, and we shall then remain clear. Mm-hmm. And they did so, and they all went to the king and bowed down to him to the ground, and they said, May the king live. May the king live. We heard that a son was born to Terah, the son of Nahor, the prince of thy host. And we yesternight came to his house, and we ate and drank and rejoiced with him that night. And when thy servants went out from the house of Terah to go to our respective homes to abide there for the night, we lifted up our eyes to heaven. And we saw a great star coming from the east, and the same star ran with great speed and swallowed up 4 great stars from the 4 sides of heavens. And thy servants were astonished at the sight which we saw, and we were greatly terrified, and we made our judgment upon the sight, and knew by our wisdom the proper interpretation thereof. that this thing applies to the child that is born of Terah, who will grow up and multiply greatly and become powerful and kill all the kings of the earth and inherit all their lands, he and his seed forever. And now our master and king, behold, we have truly acquainted thee with what we have seen concerning the child. And if it seemeth good to the king to give his father value for this child, we will slay him before he shall grow up and increase in the land, and his evil increase against us, that we and our children perish through his evil. And the king heard their words, and they seemed good in his sight. And he sent and called for Terah. And Terah came before the king. And the king said to Terah, I have been told that a son was yesternight born to thee, and after this manner was observed in the heavens at his birth. And now therefore give me the child, that we may slay him before his evil springs up against us. And I will give thee for his value thy house full of silver and gold. And Terah answered the king and said to him, My master and king, I have heard thy words, and thy servant shall do all that his king desireth. But my master and king, I will tell thee what happened to me yesternight, that I may see what advice the king will give his servant. And then I will answer the king upon what he has just spoken. And the king said, Speak. And Terah said to the king, Aon, son of Mored, came to me yesternight, saying, Give unto me the great and beautiful horse that the king gave thee, and I will give thee silver and gold and straw and provender for its value. And I said to him, Wait till I see the king concerning thy words. And behold, whatever the king saith, that will I do. And now, my master and king, behold, I have made this thing known to thee, and the advice which my king will give unto his servant, that will I follow. And the king heard the words of Terah, and his anger was kindled, and he considered him in the light of a fool.
That's good. So we can see that the wicked king wanted Israel killed. He wanted Abraham killed. Okay? Now, parallel. That's why I said Israel. The wicked king wants Israel killed. Because the wicked king understands the prophecies. See that? Don't you fool yourself. The powers that be, they know what the end is. They know who the people are. They know who you are. That you are a fulfillment of Abraham's seed. And the reason why it's important for you to understand that you are is because the other people are not going to do it the way you're going to do it, because it wasn't given to them. They got it second-handed. Okay? The king wanted to kill the prophecy, but when the Most High speaks and says something's going to happen, the gates of hell cannot prevail. Okay? So, what is that saying? The Father's trying to get our attention. The Most High is trying to get our attention. This whole atmosphere that has changed around, the Most High shut these church doors down because the government were the ones that shut them down. And that's a whole nother lesson in itself right there. The government shut them down. Okay? So Abraham was called Here's the thing we got to get in our belt. We're only called because of Abraham. Not because of Jacob. Jacob was the trickster. Like some of y'all. We have master tricks. Israelites, African Americans, Negroes, we have master tricks. That's why they call, when people go out in the streets, prostitution, they call it tricking. It's all a game. You trick a person to spend their money to get something that they don't know what they're getting. That's a trick. The pastors have you come to church, give your tithes, your offerings, all of that. They're tricking you, and they're not giving you nothing. They give you a false hope, a false dream. I'm not going to go to the prophet. The prophet said they prophesy lies and they dream dreams. Lord showed me. Right? So Abraham's father, was that the end of that?
Looks a lot more.
Okay, let's read a little more of that. This is the book of Jasher, for those of you that don't have it, right? Now, this is to me, this is Hebrew Israelite 101. It's simplicity. We understand the Most High. If the Most High called Abraham, why didn't Abraham start prophesying against the king? And we're going to show you how he responded. He was respectful. He wasn't wicked and going, you did that, you heathen. He wasn't doing all that. Go ahead and read. What verse are you at?
23. And the king answered Terah, and he said to him, art thou so silly, ignorant, or deficient in understanding to do this thing, to give thy beautiful horse for silver and gold, or even for straw and provender? Mm-hmm. Art thou so short of silver and gold that thou shouldest do this thing? Mm-hmm. Because thou canst not obtain straw and provender to feed thy horse? Mm-hmm. And what is silver and gold to thee, or straw and provender, that thou shouldest give away that fine horse which I gave thee, like which there is none to be had on the whole earth? And the king left off speaking, and Terah answered the king, saying, like unto this has the king spoken to his servant. I beseech thee, my master and king, what is this which thou didst say unto me, saying, give thy son that we may slay him, and I will give thee silver and gold for his value. What shall I do with silver and gold after the death of my son? Who shall inherit me? Surely then at my death the silver and the gold will return to my king who gave it. Mm-hmm. And when the king heard the words of Terah and the parable which he brought concerning the king, it grieved him greatly, and he was vexed at this thing, and his anger burned within him. And Terah saw that the anger of the king was kindled against him, and he answered the king, saying, all that I have is in the king's power. Whatever the king desireth to do to his servant, that let him do. Yea, even my son, he is in the king's power, without value in exchange, he and his two brothers that are older than he. And the king said to Terah, no, but I will purchase thy younger son for a price. And Terah answered the king, saying, I beseech thee, my master and king,
well, leave Abraham alone.
to let thy servant speak a word before thee, and let the king hear the word of his servant. And Terah said, let my king give me 3 days time till I consider this matter within myself, and consult with my family concerning the words of my king. And he pressed the king greatly to agree to this. And the king hearkened to Terah, and he did so, and he gave him 3 days' time. And Terah went out from the king's presence, and he came home to his family, and spoke to them all the words of the king, and the people were greatly afraid. And it was in the third day that the king sent to Terah, saying, Send me thy son for a price, and I spoke to thee, as I spoke to thee. And shouldest thou do this, I will send and slay all thou hast in thy house, so that thou shalt not even have a dog remaining.
Wow.
And Terah hastened as the thing was urgent from the king, and he took a child from one of his servants, which his handmaid had borne to him that day. And Terah brought the child to the king and received value for him. And Yah was with Terah in this matter, that Nimrod might not cause Abram's death. And the king took the child from Terah, and with all his might dashed his head to the ground, for he thought it had been Abram. And this was concealed from him from that day, and it was forgotten by the king, as it was the will of the providence not to suffer Abram's death.
See that?
Keep going.
Yeah, go ahead.
And Terah took Abram his son secretly, together with his mother and nurse, and he concealed them in a cave, and he brought them their provisions monthly. And Yah was with Abram in the cave, and he grew up, and Abram was in the cave 10 years, and the king and his princes, soothsayers and sages, thought that the king had killed Abram. That's the end of chapter 8.
So the soothsayers, the kings and princes, they all thought he was dead. So Terah, hurrah for Terah, because he's spared. And with the negative, someone would look at negatively and say, well, he took another man and had him. Well, maybe he was a slothful servant of the Messiah. So he's going to take the slothful servant and put him in the fire, didn't it? Okay, so maybe he was a slothful servant. We don't know, but be that as it may, Abram's life was spared because he is the father of the nation. All right. Okay, go ahead to chapter. Now we are in, for those of you that's just tuning in, I just posted the link to the book of Jasher. And so you can, we are now in chapter 9. Okay, chapter 9, book of Jasher, chapter 9. Okay, go ahead.
And Haran, the son of Terah, Abram's oldest brother, took a wife in those days. Haran was 39 years old when he took her, and the wife of Haran conceived and bare a son, and he called his name Lot. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and called her name Milcah. And she conceived again and bare a daughter, and called her name Sarah. Haran was 42 years old when he begat Sarah, which was in the 10th year of the life of Abram. And in those days, Abram and his mother and nurse went out from the cave, as the king and his subjects had forgotten the affair of Abram. And when Abram came out from the cave, he went to Noah and his son Shem, and he remained with them to learn the instruction of Yah and his ways, and no man knew where Abram was. And Abram served Noah and Shem and his son for a long time. And Abram was in Noah's house 39 years, and Abram knew Yah from 3 years old, and he went in the ways of Yah until the day of his death. And Noah and his son Shem had taught him. And all the sons of the earth in those days greatly transgressed against Yah, and they rebelled against him, and they served other deities, and they forgot Yah, who had created them in the earth, and the inhabitants of the earth made unto themselves at that time every man his deities of wood and stone, which could neither speak, hear, nor deliver. And the sons of men served them, and they became their deities. And the king and all his servants, and Terah with all his household, were then the first of those that served deities of wood and stone.
So the Most High spared Terah's son Abraham. He still went back into idolatry. But here's the interesting thing. So you're going to continue to read. But people don't know that the law didn't start with Israel. The law always was. We just read that right there in verse 6. Abraham lived 39 years with Noah. And Noah taught him. It says he taught him, right, all the ways of Yah. So Noah taught Abraham the ways of Yah until he died. Why did he have to be taught? Because them heathens, the Babylonians, had worshipped everything that they could see, everything they could smell, everything they could taste. They worshiped. But the Most High had a remnant that was questioning. Now, if we were to go to where is that Book of Jubilees? I think it is. No, was it Jubilees or is it the Testament of Abraham, where he actually deals with the idols that his father was worshiping? I think we might cover some of it in here. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 8. And Terah had 12 deities of large size, made of wood and stone, after the 12 months of the year. And he served each one monthly, and every month Terah would bring his meat offering and drink offering to his deities. Thus did Terah all the days.
All right, stop. Today is the weekend of Memorial Day. COVID-19 still here, right? I can guarantee you, aha, like the guy said, come to America, aha. I can guarantee you they're going to be sacrificing the swine's flesh on them grills. Israelites unaware, as well as the nations, right? And they don't want you to tell them about the broth of the abomination and the swine's flesh. Okay, go ahead. Just thought I'd throw that in there.
Verse 9. And all that generation were wicked in the sight of Yah, and they thus made every man his deity, but they forsook the Elohim who created them. And there was not a man found in those days in the whole earth who knew Yah, for they served each man his own deity, except Noah and his household, and all those who were under his counsel knew Yah in those days.
Okay, stop. Now, where do we read that at in the 66 books? In Romans chapter 1. There's a confirmation. He said that they forsook. Hey, hold your finger there. Okay, I'm going to pull it up right quick. All right, in Romans chapter 1, I'll give you the reference. Because somebody's saying, brother, I don't think the book of Jasher is authentic. Well, they are quoting things from, actually, the New Testament. Romans is quoting from them. But let's see, that is in verse, let's see, verse 16. Let's see, it starts at verse 16. It says, verse 17, for there is the righteousness of Elohim revealed from faith to faith, as is written, the just shall live by faith, right? For the wrath of Elohim is revealed. This is verse 18. The wrath of Yah is revealed from heaven against all unrighteousness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in righteousness, because, verse 19, that which may be known of Elohim is manifested in them, for Elohim have showed it unto them. For the invisible things of this creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power, so that they are without excuse. 21, because that when they knew Elohim, they glorified him not as Elohim. We just read. Neither were thankful, but became vain in their imagination, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible Elohim into the image made like unto corruptible man, and birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore Elohim also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of Elohim into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forevermore. Amen. For this cause Elohim gave them up unto vile affections, for even the women did change the natural use unto that which is against nature. Likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of women, burn in their lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was meet. Even, it's not done, as they did not like to retain Elohim in their knowledge, Elohim gave them over to a reprobated mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of Elohim, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedience to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of Elohim, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Right? That's what Jasher is talking about, what happened in the days after the Most High spared Terah's life from Nimrod. And then now he goes back into the same rebellion and disobeying the law, statutes, and commandments that Noah taught him. Y'all ain't gonna talk to me. All right, go ahead.
Verse 11.
Jasher chapter 9, verse 11.
And Abram the son of Terah was waxing great in those days in the house of Noah, and no man knew it, and Yah was with him. And Yah gave Abram an understanding heart, and he knew all the works of that generation were vain, and that all their deities were vain, and were no avail. And Abram saw the sun shining upon the earth, and Abram said to himself, surely now this sun that shines upon the earth is Yah, and him will I serve.
Stop there. So for you knucklehead Egyptologists that worship the sun, your dodo brainiac idiocentric self is right here. All right, go ahead.
And Abram served the sun in that day, and he prayed to him. And when evening came, the sun set as usual, and Abram said within himself, surely this cannot be Yah.
See, he had enough sense to realize that the sun is not the creator, right? So I know somebody's offended by what I just said, but the truth hurts, don't it? It's a dodo brainiac idiocentric thing to think that the sun is the creator. He is light. He's not the sun. All right, go ahead.
And Abram still continued to speak within himself. Who is he who made the heavens and the earth? Who created upon the earth? Who or where is he? And night darkened over him, and he lifted up his eyes toward the west, north, south, and east. And he saw that the sun had vanished from the earth. and the day became dark. And Abram saw the stars and moon before him, and he said, surely this is Yah who created the whole earth as well as man. And behold, these are the servants of Yah around him. And Abram served the moon and prayed to it all that night.
What?
And in the morning, when it was light and the sun shone upon the earth as usual, Abram saw all the things that Yah made, all the things that Yah had made upon the earth. And Abram said unto himself, surely these are not deities that made the earth and all mankind.
Now stop. Now, so we got Egyptologists that spoon-fed this false doctrine that Yah is the moon god. That's where they got it from. Abraham was worshiping the moon. His father was worshiping they were worshiping all of that. So Yah is not the moon god. Okay? Yah is the breath. And if you believe that, it shows your ignorance. You are just as dumb and stupid as Abraham was. Somebody said, brother, you hitting hard today. Sometimes you got to let the chips fall where they may. Anybody that teaches their doctrine is an idiot. Yah is not the moon god. Dodo brain. All right, go ahead.
Verse 19. And Abram said unto himself, surely these are not Yah that made the earth and all mankind, but these are the servants of Yah. And Abram remained in the house of Noah, and there knew Yah and his ways, and he served Yah all the days of his life. And all that generation forgot Yah, and served other deities of wood and stone, and rebelled all their days. And King Nimrod reigned securely, and all the earth was under his control, and all the earth was of one tongue and words of union. And all the princes of Nimrod and his great men took counsel together. Put Mitzrayim, Cush, Canaan with their families. And they said to each other, come, let us build ourselves a city, and in it a strong tower, and its top reaching heaven. And we will make ourselves famed, so that we may reign upon the whole earth, in order that the evil of our enemies may cease from us, that we may reign mightily over them, and that we may not become scattered over the earth on account of their wars. And they all went before the king, and they told the king these words, and the king agreed with them in this affair, and he did so. And all the families assembled, consisting of about 600,000 men, and they went to seek an extensive piece of ground to build the city and tower. And they sought in the whole earth, and they found none like one valley at the east of the land of Shinar, about 2 days